Many individuals this past weekend rallied in state capitals across the country, from Rhode Island to New York to Texas. There were many individuals marching in honor of their Second Amendment rights. And we're going to go right now to a story from our very own Jakari Jackson. He interviewed Sheriff Mack in Austin, Texas, who was at one of those rallies fighting for the Second Amendment, and they were trying to march against these draconian bills that are demonizing assault weapons. Over to you, Jakari.
On January 19th, 2013, citizens across the United States joined together at their respective Capitol buildings to protest the Obama administration's 23 executive gun control actions. Texas was no exception. Now, Sheriff, people don't seem to understand the significance of sheriffs speaking up in their communities. Why should sheriffs speak up?
Well, because they're the last line of defense in their counties, and they work directly for the people, and they are the last line of defense. They are the ultimate protector of the people. They promised when they took their oath and when they took their job to protect the people's rights. And now we have sheriffs all over the country doing that, and that's exactly what every one of them promised to do.
Right. Now, did you get the turnout and the response you were expecting today?
Oh, man. This was fantastic. I have to tell you, we really missed Alex here today. It was a great crowd, maybe 2,000 to 2,500 people. It was just jam-packed with people who are dedicated to the holy cause of liberty, as Patrick Henry called it. And my voice is already going. I've been talking all afternoon. And I really believe that we can turn this around. But back to your sheriff comment, we're going to need local officials, especially sheriffs, to tell the federal government there's just a few things you're not going to do in our county. And one of them is gun control. It's against the law. And so as a lawman, the sheriff has to oppose such lawlessness. He promised he would. And so I think it's wonderful. We're seeing sheriffs from California to Georgia and Texas to Montana standing against what Barack Obama's trying to do to take our guns. And you know what? This is the spirit of 1776. And Alex got it right when he said that. This is still here, and freedom is just as important today. And right now, I have to tell you, they were kind of hinting at it at the rally today. But this is the most critical time in American history since the Civil War. Now that's my quote, but if you take what everybody was saying today and what the people here were feeling, this is it. And we've got to take a stand now so that we can avoid the fight later.
Right. Now, Sheriff, you're going to get a lot of comments say, oh, he's just saying you don't need an assault weapon. He's just saying you don't need more than 10 rounds in your magazine. So what's your retort to that?
Barack Obama, let me tell you right now, you have no authority to tell me what kind of gun I can own, how big of a clip I can own, or even if I have to go through your stupid background checks. All those, sir, are infringements. And I'll own whatever kind of gun I want, and it's none of your damn business. Stay in Washington or go back to Kenya where you're from and leave us the hell alone.
Well, Sheriff, we just heard a little bit ago that in Massachusetts, the government wants you to store your gun in a safe, government-approved location. What do you say to that?
That is so absurd that if I ever needed it as a cop, so I can't take my gun home when I'm a cop? How about cops? Who bestows all power in America? Don't they teach that in schools in Massachusetts? What's the problem? In America, gun control is against the law. And in America, we the people bestow all power. How is it that that congressman tells us now how we have to keep and bear arms? Are you crazy? No, we don't do that.
In New York, police are not exempt, or at least not yet, from this ridiculous 7 rounds in your magazine law. Now, they're trying to push, and I'm sure they will get that change for active duty police, but even retired police officers are saying that they need these weapons to protect themselves because, surprise, surprise, they claim criminals won't follow this law. So do the police have more rights than the citizens in New York?
They don't, but they keep trying to make this elitism go nationwide. And who loves elitism more than Washington, D.C. politicians? So they're trying to spread it around the country and try to get cops involved with it, some of it. But I really love the New York cops who know and understand that an armed citizen is better protected than one who is not. And there's a lot of cops, and we're hearing from even at least one sheriff and some of the cops in the state of New York and even in New York City, where they believe the gun control promoted by Cuomo and Bloomberg are not what they want. And so it's time to have this grassroots swell of a revolution, if you will, and peacefully so. It's time to tell these public officials and these polymagicians, as the name I call them, tell them to get out of the way, get out of our lives. We'll run our own families, we'll run our own lives, and we'll own whatever gun we want. And unless we commit a crime, you, sir, have to leave us alone.
And one last question, Sheriff. How do you feel about gun-free zones in schools?
Gun-free zones. That's probably the stupidest thing that we ever came up with. As a law enforcement professional, you really think that because we put a sign in front of your school that's a gun-free zone, that is going to make it so? And that we tell every lunatic and pedophile and drug dealer that all our schools are gun-free zones, come in and do whatever you want. How lunatic can we be?
Thank you for your time, Sheriff.
Thank you. Good to see you.
And in more gun news, it seems that there's a Republican legislature in New York that is outing Democrats and saying that the bill that they recently passed was supposed to be even more draconian. And he recently outed the Democratic Party on the Assembly floor recently, according to an article on thecommentator.com. The state of New York this week passed some of the strictest gun control laws in the United States, effectively outlawing assault weapons and limiting the size of magazines. But if Republican Assemblyman Steve McLaughlin is to be believed, the New York State Democrats would have gone further if they could have, much, much further. In a video posted to his Facebook page, McLaughlin has shared the information of a secret Democratic proposal, not simply to make the purchasing of the crudely monikered assault weapons illegal in New York, but also to engage in mass confiscation, removing Americans' weapons from their possession. Let's go to that video right now.
And Joe, I have in my hands here something that we received from the Senate, which is rejected Democrat proposals in this gun bill. And by the way, I would recommend not to have that list shared because it really has the capacity to dampen the enthusiasm to compromise. Well, it sure does when we talk about confiscation of assault weapons. It absolutely has the ability to dampen a compromise.
So there you go. He saw a draft of one of the bills, one of the preliminary bills, and it was much more draconian than what got passed. And let me tell you a little bit about what was in that initial bill. And why this is important is because even though this wasn't the bill that was passed, it really shows where the hearts of anti-gun supporters really is at. The original bill had confiscation of assault weapons, confiscation of 10-round clips, statewide database for all guns, labels semi-automatic shotguns with more than 5 rounds or pistol grips as assault weapons, limit the number of rounds in a magazine to 5, and confiscation and forfeiture of banned magazines, limit possession to no more than 2 magazines, require renewal of all pistol permits every 5 years, micro-stamping of all guns in New York State. I mean, it literally just went on and on. I think it was about 15 proposals in total. But if you saw that liberal there, he said, please don't let the public know too much about it because, yeah, they're going to get a little bit angered by it. Yeah, they should get angered by it. You know, your veil has been lifted, and we see you for what you are. It's very unfortunate because a draconian bill was passed in New York regardless, but thank God it wasn't that draconian. But it's good to see that, you know, on camera you saw a Democrat saying, you know, please don't let the public know what we're doing. And we don't like Republicans here either. We think they're completely diabolical. But on this one issue, they're a tinge better than the Democratic Party. Continuing with gun news, it seems that in the city of Miami, they're trying to basically get individuals to hand in their guns in exchange for a trip around the world, a trip to Bermuda, no, you know, $10,000 in cash, no, but rather tickets to see the Miami Heat. It's amazing what people will do, how they'll give up their Second Amendment rights or have those Second Amendment rights infringed upon for a simple gift. The article was posted today by CNS News. The Miami police is asking residents to turn in their weapons in return for Miami Heat tickets and gift cards, where it says a buyback was held today at Jordan Grove Baptist Church, where 50 weapons, mostly hunting rifles and small caliber handguns, were handed over in the first hour. Residents were given a choice of $25 or $50 gift certificates to Walmart or Winn-Dixie, or 300 level Miami Heat tickets. Dare to dream. And 50 weapons were handed in, but I'm sure they're going to continue this nonsense. Look, this has been done. This was done in the city of Newark. I think it's still being done in the city of Newark annually. You see hundreds of guns being handed in, and the crime rate is still through the roof. And Newark has very strict gun control laws, and they try these gun buyback programs repeatedly, and it just doesn't work. What you need to do is arm the citizenry and end the drug war, and then and only then will you see a significant decrease in violent crimes.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.